For an update now, we're joined on Zoom by CT Power spokesperson Isaac Mangena. Isaac, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live. So many residents in and around Eldorado Park spent the Easter weekend in the dark and possibly in the cold too. What was the cause of the fire? Please give us an update on the Eldorado Park situation.
Good morning and good morning to the viewers. Thanks for having us. We had fire on Thursday, which basically gutted one of the transformers at Eldorado substation, and we have been working throughout since that Thursday, overnight, during the day, in the rain, to ensure that the electricity is basically restored to the residents that are affected as promised. But the rain has also been basically delaying some of the work because of obviously it's outside and it has been persistent. But we have been soldiering on. We are hoping that we will restore electricity as promised by Wednesday, hoping that everything goes according to plan. But most of the work has already been done. The cause, I can't really tell currently because of the teams were still busy doing investigations. You'll remember that when the fire started on Thursday, most of the things couldn't be done because of the heat that was still around. But we managed to basically move in later that day, that evening, to ensure that we try and see, to assess the damage that was caused, but also to check, to start the investigation into what caused and also the costs that may be attached to us repairing this damaged infrastructure.
What are you hearing, though, from your investigators so far? What could be the cause of the fire? Do you suspect foul play?
We are not ruling anything out. Our experience has taught us that there are multiple things that could have happened. We have been having issues of vandalism and cable theft, especially in that area of Eldorado Park, Lenasia. We're not ruling that one out. We are not ruling sabotage or any man-made crisis. So that will form part of the investigation so that at least we get to the bottom. We cannot preempt currently to say it could have happened because of this and that, but we will look into that, including any technical work that was never done, that was supposed to have been done on the substation. We will also be looking into that. So we're not ruling out anything as yet, but obviously the investigative report will basically let us know what really caused this fire.
Which other areas were affected by this fire apart from Eldorado Park?
On Thursday, when the fire started, we had several people that are feeding from upstream and downstream from interconnected with Eldorado Park that were basically affected by this. They include residents around Pennyville, Mayfair, Fortsburg, and also residents in Lensfield and Nirvana substations, who are, most of them are in Lenasia. But those we managed to quickly restore, at least on the same day, others the following day. So currently what the people that are still out are those in and around Eldorado Park and the areas like Devland, Klepspraid, and so forth. Those are the only customers that are affected, but most of those that were actually feeding using another lines that are interconnected with Eldorado Park were basically restored on the same day. However, we are encountering, and I think I just need to mention this, we are encountering lots of theft and vandalism during this downtime. We've had incidences, about 5 of them, since the fire started, where our infrastructure was vandalized in and around Eldorado Park, but also around the areas that were fed by, especially around Mansfield and Lenasia. We had about 5 cables stolen on Thursday, just after we've restored them following this fire. Yesterday we had one mini substation around Eldorado Park, just nearby where we are working, that was vandalized and set alight, basically switching off some of the areas that we managed to restore using Mansfield substation. So you can see that during this downtime, we're still having this problem of vandalism, which even tomorrow or Wednesday, when we finish the work and about to restore the residents, we may find some of those points where there've been this and that of vandalism or even theft that we need to deal with, and people don't have electricity at the moment.
Isaac, how do you then prevent those from happening again? You've spoken about how you've had issues of cable theft. What do you do to protect yourself in this situation? I'll tell you why I'm asking is that I've also had a similar situation where I live, where you would have get a message that there was an issue of cable theft, only to have the same situation again 2 weeks later. What are you doing as City Power to prevent that from happening?
As City Power, we are basically doing a lot. We have beefed up teams, security. We have hired more security personnel to ensure that they are patrolling and stationed at our installations. But also the current administration. Our MNC, Michael San, made the promise that we will basically try and ensure that we reduce cable theft at least 20% in the next 6 months. And I think we've been doing a very good job in that regard in terms of the arrests. If you look at the successes in terms of the arrests of the cable thieves and those that are currently in court due to these crimes that they are doing, you'll start to realize that we are actually moving the needle in terms of the fight against cable theft. But however, this is not the fight that can only be won by City Power. Remember, City Power is not even supposed to be a law enforcement agency. We're supposed to provide service of electricity. So it's something that is bigger than just City Power or even the municipality. And that's why the executive mayor, Councillor Mpho Palatse, basically called on the national government to step in. She has already written letters to the president, to the NPA, to the Minister of Police, and so forth, so that we can be able to have a focused effort from that level that will assist us. Remember, if there is no cable in the city of Johannesburg or there's no electricity in the city of Johannesburg, you've got the whole of the economy of South Africa basically hinged upon the city of Johannesburg, what Johannesburg is doing or not doing. It impacts the rest of the country and indeed the continent. So if we are able to arrest that situation in the city of Johannesburg and get the support that is needed from the national government, we will be able to deal with this. However, we're also working with the communities, and I think most of the arrests that we've made have been because of the collaborative effort between City Power and the community under where these crimes are happening. The neighborhood watches in those communities, the CPFs, even the ordinary people who have come out and basically either mention where the thieves are or themselves do the citizens arrest and call the police after. So most of those instances we have been able to basically work with the community, and we think that is the best approach, because most of the cable thieves live among their communities. They stay with those communities. Their parents, their fathers and brothers of the very same people that are inconvenienced by electricity after the cable has been stolen. So the strategy of us working with the community will continue, but we still also think we need a national intervention to ensure that we curb what we really call a crime against the state.
But are you also servicing that current infrastructure, the existing infrastructure? I'm looking at your Twitter feed, and of all the faults, most of the faults, it's, cable fault, termination, failure. There's no ETR for residents. I can imagine how frustrating it must be when there isn't even a communication. Are you servicing the current infrastructure, making sure that, in areas where people don't have electricity, then that infrastructure is being serviced?
On what is happening on Twitter currently, maybe I can just even give the viewers a picture of what we are dealing with as City Power currently. This morning at 6 o'clock, we had about 3,000 open outage calls from customers. It gives you an idea of how big some of the work that we need to do is. And most of the causes, as you rightfully pointed out, the cable faults. Cable faults happen because of mostly the pressure that comes when we switch on electricity after load shedding. So load shedding does not assist us at all as City Power, and I'm sure even Eskom, it's an inconvenience, for us, it's an inconvenience for the customer. So our infrastructure was never meant to be switched on and off at regular intervals. So you've got a situation where every 2 hours you have to switch on and off, and this cable keeps on being stressed, and at some point it will pop or it will give in, and that's when you have this kind of cable faults. We have seen an increase in those cable faults in recent months partly because of the on and offs that we're doing, and that is the serious problem for us, and especially because of our infrastructure. Most of it is actually old infrastructure. Johannesburg is an old city, and so the infrastructure that we have currently is really old. And when you've got a situation whereby you are forced to be load shed, they actually end up basically giving in, and that's why we have so many problems. So, but we are having teams on the ground that are busy dealing with most of these outages. We are hoping by lunchtime we would have basically moved in terms of resolving most of those calls that I've mentioned, the 3,000 calls that I've mentioned, with the teams that are on the ground. But the load shedding itself, again, it stresses the resources, the little resources that we have. You've got operators in each service delivery center, or depots as we used to call them, and those operators, they are divided between dealing with those faults that you mentioned, and also now responding to switching on and off of load shedding every 2 hours. So that is the situation that we are currently working in, and it's really frustrating to a certain degree, but also obviously straining to our resources, because you've got people that we've called from overtime to come and basically ensure that we deal with this kind of problems that we're having. So we are still soldiering on. The rain does not help as well, but we are talking to our customers to ensure that they understand some of these problems that we're having.
All right, Isaac, thank you so much for talking to us. That was City Power spokesperson Isaac Mangena giving us an update on the situation regarding the Eldorado Park power station that was on fire this past weekend. Started, in fact, on Thursday.